sun and shade. So I wanted to I really want to stay on the Nancy Guthrie case until until Cameron Guthrie, Savannah and Annie Guthrie's um, mom, Nancy Guthrie, 80, the 84-year-old woman who was kidnapped, is returned. In the meantime, I really, as an HR manager, when I did things, I was extremely proactive. I didn't just like talking about things. I liked to kind of explore a little bit more, maybe what we were talking about. So in this case, I'd like to explore when you're looking for signs of something that's unusual. What does that even mean? In this case, just to give you a really brief summary for those of you who have not been following, or you're just not really familiar with the case, there is a lot at this point of speculation going on and things being said that that simply have not been confirmed by authorities. So basically, what happened is Nancy Guthrie, an 84-year-old woman, went missing a little over a week ago now in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, out of her house. The signs were about 2 o'clock in the morning. Her a phone or pacemaker was disconnected, and the ring camera was disconnected. Although I think it picked up some image that is very obscure and not intelligible enough to figure out who or what is going on, I think. See, there's a lot of I thinks in this case. So because of that, it's it very easily become convoluted, very easily. So we're trying to just stay with the facts at this point. So what happened is kind of like a day later after she went missing, they received a ransom note, and the perpetrator or suspected kidnapper never really came through. Like, the family is looking for very clear information, where how to do the exchange, and the kidnapper is not coming through. So for me, I just gave my little bit 2 cents that I really do believe it is someone confused. That's what I think. I think it's someone who took her on the premise that they were going to follow through on this. They were going to get $6 million, and they're coming to a standstill because they're confused. And I am probably nearby over there now. With that said, that's only my take on it. With that said, other media are coming out and saying, are these two different cases? Is it someone trying to capitalize on the fact that Nancy is missing and sending these ransom notes? The suspicious part of it for me is that these notes are, I believe it first went to TMZ, which I find so odd. I can't even explain it. That just makes no sense to me. But anyway, with that, and then it went to another, I believe, very local station out there in Arizona. So that's kind of the recap. Now, uh, I've been saying since day one to report anything that you think might be suspicious. And I was just so filled with just relief when Savannah Guthrie finally she just said, her own words, you see anything, say something. You see anything unusual, say something. So what is it you might be seeing that's unusual? So let's take a look here. Behavioral signs of a kidnapper holding a hostage often include controlling, manipulative, anxious behaviors. designed to isolate the victim and maintain authority. Key indicators involve restricting movement, controlling basic needs like food and sleep, emotional manipulation, extreme paranoia. Look for that. And in some cases, forming a complex sympathetic bond. So, as I said yesterday, I mean, this is all of my piecing it together. I do believe the person who has her is taking care of her, and but is also getting more confused as they're trying to pull off this ransom. It's just not working because they don't know how. That's my take, which would tell me it's not a professional, it's an amateur and someone close in the proximity over there. And that knew that family. I really do believe it's someone who or knew of them. So, what are the common behavioral signs of a kidnapper? And so I say this with love and care, but I'm saying this. One of the most difficult things that has occurred, in my opinion, is the cutting and the non support of the mental health agencies across the United States. When a person is not thinking right, or they have emotional or mental or cognitive issues, that's when things escalate for them. That's when they spiral, as it said, as it's as as it goes. That's what happens, and it's so much of this is preventable. But this is what I'm saying with love and care. If your loved one is suddenly acting more agitated, more controlling, um, you're notice or you're not seeing them as much, or they won't let you come over to their place, or you're noticing something very odd, say something. Um, I mean, it's 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 far fetched that you would think anyone you know it could be a perpetrator like this. It really is far fetched. However, many times there's signs. Okay, so we're going to look at them. Total control and restriction, actively preventing the victim from leaving, controlling who they speak to and restricting access to identification or communication devices. Manipulation and fear, using threats, violence, or emotional abuse to enforce submission. Now you have to remember, it's a little bit different in Nancy Guthrie's case. She does not have the advantage to be able to get up and walk, just walk or run out of there. So the person who is with her knows that. They know that, and so they're not going to have to in really take too much precaution in that way. So this is some more signs. Isolation, moving the victim to secluded locations and cutting off the family or friends. So if it's in fact in, let's say, Savannah Guthrie, Cameron, and Annie's circle, what they might be looking at is, as they reach out to their family and friends, who's kind of like a little standoffish, who's not, who would typically offer support, who's not, who's like kind of just not coming forward. Maybe that type of deal. That's just an example. It doesn't mean everybody close to them who might be super busy and a mom with 5 kids is, you know what I'm saying. You have to use some deductive reasoning, so to speak. Okay. Paranoia and anxiety. This is a huge one, guys. The kidnapper may extremely be on edge, constantly checking for authorities or displaying signs of high stress. You have to remember, both all of these siblings, starting with Savannah. Savannah's a celebrity. Okay, so she was in the television, sector of the media. Uh, it could be an enemy, for example, in the same industry. Okay, maybe coworkers are noticing someone acting very odd there. I'm just reaching. Or if, for example, in Cameron's situation, he was a military. Um, in the military, he was a fighter pilot in the F-16s that go over here in Vermont. Okay, so the military. Maybe there's a military friend who who is suddenly acting very, very nervous. Okay, paranoid. And with Annie and her husband, Tommaso, both of them were professors, teachers. Teachers. I'm just saying that the scope is huge, huge, of who and what could have happened. So, paranoia and anxiety. The kidnapper may be extremely on edge, constantly checking for authorities or displaying signs of high stress. Okay, so that's huge. Justification of actions. Creating excuses for the kidnapping to convince themselves or the victim that they are in the right. So pay attention to that. Um, you know, of course, in my view, it's someone who just um, is in the enemy camp, right? Or they, are disconnected and have an envious, jealous thing going on, or they have a hate thing going on. Yeah, pay attention to the wording um, that is being used. For example, you know how some people say things and it just makes your head turn? And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. Now, it might mean nothing except that they're just not a very nice person, but it may mean something, especially in this case. You're like, why would they say that? Pay attention to those things. So, justification of action. Okay, um, we just read that. Lima syndrome is rare. In some cases, the kidnapper may be develop empathy or sympathy for the hostage, leading to a strange, sometimes friendlier rapport. So I do believe something like that could happen, especially in this case. Since Nancy Guthrie was considered like America's mom, you've heard that cliche. She went on the TV, I guess, I don't know how many times, but I guess a number of times with Savannah. So, this person, if there is a disconnect in their mind or something emotional or something mental is not sitting right, they may feel very connected to her and just automatically, like in an um not in a reasonable sense. Like they just may feel connected to her. Um okay, control of needs. Restricting food, water, sleep to keep the victim in a state of helplessness. I don't think that's going to occur at all in this case. Okay, so I'm just throwing this out as just, as someone who's just trying to help in this case and to give you guys an idea of what it is that you would be looking for and keeping your eyes and ears open. Now, contextual factors. The hostage may express positive feelings towards the captor, which was sometimes masked the kidnapper's abusive behavior. Um, I do believe someone like Nancy Guthrie has the wisdom and absolute know-how on how to just kind of keep a she probably did start out scared, I'm sure. And I'm sure she is, of course, by nature, oh my God, what the heck? How is this going to, you know what I'm saying? But she probably absolutely knows for sure, too, that she is being, searched for. And so with that, she's probably trying to develop as much as a rapport with this kidnapper as much as is possible. I would think that. So, emotional instability. This is where I think they're going to, this is where you and me, as kind of the public eye, and of course, we think this is all occurring more in Arizona, but don't kid yourself. Do not kid yourself. Sometimes these kidnappers go way off the radar. And so, with the emotional, the kidnapper may swing from being very, very agitated to being very, very, very kind. And, you know, and then maintaining some control. So, but what happens is as they get more agitated and more disconnected, they swing into a more instability. So that's kind of, and can I just add this? This isn't someone who's had an issue overnight. This is someone who's had a long term issue, in my opinion. You just don't go in and um, escort someone out of their house with the idea you're going to collect ransom of $6 million and you're all together. Okay, this is someone, and if they've stayed under the radar, yes, maybe they're staying under the radar um, in some capacity where they're financially taken care of in some way. Whether they're on a fixed income and receive money every month, or someone in the family gives them money every month, something like that. Now, let's just take a very quick look at the signs of what it is that the victim, what are uh, signs of victim or someone kidnapped. Okay, so what are the signs if you see, and of course we're going to know right off the bat, just our common sense tells us that the person is scared. um, okay, scared, anxiety. So, some of the potential kidnapping or abduction include a person being restricted in their movement. You see this control many times of, like, I mean, because it could be this scenario, guys. Don't kid yourself. It could be. They could just be kind of going, well, I don't think they would be going in a store with her. She's limited in her walking, but they could put her in a wheelchair. They could put her on a hat, put a hat on her, put glasses on her, and they could go into a store with her. And don't kid yourself. And so there's that whole scenario, is they could just be in, and I know this sounds really creepy, but this has occurred, where they have decided to just adopt her as their mom. I'm just saying, people. uh, the mental health thinking distortions are, could be a broad spectrum here. But these are some of the behavior or physical signs: fear and anxiety. So the person appears terrified, anxious, depressed, or acts in a submissive manner. Um, what do you do in that situation? Because if they don't want to be restricted, excuse me, in the way that they're moving about with her. They may, in fact, have her in a wheelchair, um, go inside a restaurant, give her instructions not to say anything, get something to eat. You know what I mean? It could happen. So what do? Take a good look, first of all, a really good look at this, at her. Figure out what vehicle they came from, get the license plate, or report it ASAP. Even if you're wrong, at least you took that chance and you're erring in the side of goodness, of good intention, because it could be something like that. Now, lack of control. The person has no access to their passport, identification, or personal money. Okay, we're talking about the person now who's been kidnapped, not the kidnapper. Just went through the kidnapper. The person who has been kidnapped. They're going to show anxiety, fear, or a submissive manner. Lack of control. So we just went over that. They don't have their own, they don't have a purse. You know, they don't have any money to navigate. Physical indicators, visible bruises, signs of, you can't tell this necessarily, um, of various types of abuse, or being undernourished or poorly clothed. I would say they put Nancy at about 150. So let's envision her, and I really wish they'd be putting out her. I mean, her image is out there frequently, and it is out there multiple. But I wish they'd put out something like, what is she looking like if she's lost about 5 pounds, because she's probably lost at least that being in the captivity, even if she's eating. She's nervous and this nap. What is her facial what's her face going to be looking like? Okay, so, and I pointed out to you as an artist, you know, her face is kind of petite. You get the petite, you know, it's got a little nose, and her eyes are a little closer together. Her hair is parted. Look, mine naturally goes kind of over on the side too. Hers is kind of parted like that. It's not straight in the middle, but it's kind of over on the side. So you're going to look at this person and see if you can figure out, does this person resemble Nancy Guthrie? Keep your eyes open, people, and keep hope. Don't just think the worst. I mean, let's just think positive until we absolutely know. You know what I mean? So, communication restriction. The person is not allowed to speak for themselves or constantly monitored by a companion when interacting with others. You've seen this many times, or heard of a little strategy is, they had a whole study on this not a couple of years ago. But if someone is in, restaurants usually see this, um, uh, families come in, the wife or looks like she's being held captive. So you create a diversion of some kind, and you call the person over whom you think is the controller, and then at the same time you're having someone else check in with her. Do you need help? And this is a really good strategy. And I know you guys are like, oh my God, Carmela, what do you think you are, an investigator? No, but you know what I am? I am a concerned citizen, and I did work in a field where there were a lot of things going on all the time, and you needed to be on your toes, and these things are very, very real. So with that, I would say, yes, if you're in the food business and you notice somebody like that, kind of check in with the person, or just call 911 is probably the safest way. And then they can directly, hopefully they can directly check. I would do it first in a manner that is very under the radar, and, you know, like just ask straight out, are you Nancy Guthrie? You know what I mean? And then she can just say yes. And anyway, with that, these are very hopeful situations, but they are also very realistic. There was a woman for example, there was a woman a number of years ago. I don't know if you remember the story. She kidnapped a baby, and she was going to fast food places. She's driving around with the baby in the car, and she wasn't adequately taking care of the baby. But boy, they found her super fast, and that is exactly how they found her. One of the fast food places thought something was weird, and they just kept talking to her while another employee went and called 911, and they found that baby was in the car. So, please, people, keep your minds open, okay? Situational warning sign. Oh, wait, and here's another one. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah, signs in children: distress, unfamiliar accompaniment, where the child like is pulling away, saying you're not my mama. And believe me, that has happened. Children are very forward. That's for children. Okay, situational warning signs. um Forced movement: a person is being dragged, pushed, or forced. So in this case, Nancy would be in a wheelchair, most likely. Suspicious monitoring: individuals lurking around park, school. Okay, yeah, and lack of documentation. Okay, so anyway, I hope that that helps. I think that we're not always aware of the signs. It's just a little bit of informal education to kind of help us all, you know, kind of figure out what is it we would be looking for. But I say the food places, gas, convenience stores, coffee, and I'm going to tell you, um, out there, I know no one's really seeing my little channel, but if anyone is seeing this out in Arizona or whatever state you're in, all the way up here, Vermont, whatever, don't forget Savannah has residents in New York. I'm just saying you can't count anything out of their circle of people who knew them or knew of them. But it could be the employees of these convenience stores. They are your eyes and ears, because they notice there's like regulars who go in for coffee. They may notice somebody really offbeat. I'm just saying, especially out in the Arizona area. Let's just hope that if the kid, so why am I doing all of this? Because the kidnapper did not follow through, apparently, on an exchange, because they haven't updated us on that, but there's something stands still. There's something not going forward. So we don't know what that is, but we do know that the follow through did not occur, because Nancy is we have not been told that has occurred. And we saw Savannah, her daughter, on Instagram pleading with the public, please, please, if you see anything or hear anything. So I just wanted to get on here and kind of break that down a little bit. What does that mean? What is it you're looking for? So a lot of times, guys, we totally turn our heads and ignore. And you know why we do that? Because they started that thing a number of years ago. Uh, uh, by association, you're guilty by association. You say something, you did this, now all of a sudden you're a suspect. Don't think like that. Think with your heart. Think with your heart. Think with your compassion. You know, does something need to be said? Okay, and then reach out. So with that, I send you love and light, and we'll keep updating as we know, and praying for the very best outcome. I know me in my own little tiny world here. I haven't been going out much because of this incredibly sub-zero weather, but the weather is breaking. It's going to 30 degrees, and to me that's warm. And I'll be driving up the street and going to my favorite little Black Cap Coffee Cafe place. Love it in Morrisville. Do you know how many people going through the state of Vermont who are not Vermonters stop there? And I'm just saying, I know because I've talked to many tourists there because I'm an artist. They see me working on something, crocheting or sewing. They'll see me working on something and we scoot up a conversation and they say, they're out of state, they're going through. So, yeah, don't think it's such an outrageous scenario. Anyway, I send you love and light. Send love and light to the Guthrie family. Keep them in your prayers and pray that for Nancy's safe return.